What's up, world?
I just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
Insert here.
Yo.
It's a terrible game. Bottom line. It's terrible in every way. Graphically, it's terrible. Gameplay is terrible. It's just terrible.
Angry Nick mad.
That game sucked, and it's gonna suck no matter how many revisions they make, and it just sucked even more because they put a Kinect with it.
Angry Nick mad. Or if there's violence, I'll just laugh and enjoy the fun.
Kaz Hazari.
Kaz Harai.
They just kind of got tired of Angry Nick on the first one and say, I'm going to pass.
Oh, yeah, so I do. Precisely.
No.
I
No.
do all my work.
No.
And
You guys are
unfortunately,
so
I don't.
cute.
Oh, thank you. I try.
I mean, let's face it, Mario and to a lesser extent Zelda is what carries Nintendo at this point.
Always be radical.
I love you, little podcast. You're the bestest thing ever. For the promise of a new Super Smash Bros. And the Zelda game, yes.
You will not find a better story presented in any other game genre, in my personal opinion. Like, JRPGs have that. They have that story.
That's what the entire game felt like. Oh my god, I want to bang my head into a wall.
It's a podcast again? Can someone remind me? I thought it was a video game podcast.
You're listening to the Game Source Podcast.
Thank you for joining us once again. This is our second stab at it, but I think we got it this time. Special shout out to Viking Prince for helping us out with the audio portion on Twitch. So we do apologize for any interruption on that. This is Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives, along with Angry Nick. This is Game Source Podcast number 134 on yourgamesource.com and Game Source on Facebook, at Game Source on Twitter, Game_Source on Twitch, and Game Source on YouTube. Thank you for joining us, and we're in the middle of the biggest window for games of this year, and with big titles released such as Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, Fallout 4, and of course, Rise of the Tomb Raider and upcoming Battlefront from Star Wars. It's going to be a great time for video gamers. Nick, do you have a gift that you just got from the friendly post office?
I do.
Or
UPS?
what? No,
UPS, baby.
UPS. I'm sorry. Post
Hello?
office is closed today. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, got it. Okay, sounds good. All right, and so we got it. You've got your Fallout 4. Fallout 4 from Bethesda. It has been a big title since it's been talked about. Since it's all over the place, all over streaming, all over the world. Everybody's talking about this. They're talking about that. The big, huge game world that Bethesda has created once again. That's just released. It obviously a big topic of conversation. My question to you is, are you going to be worried about the bugs that might hamper your enjoyment as far as for Fallout 4? Because for me, Skyrim, which everybody just lauded over, was great, but Bethesda, because of sometimes you run into bugs with them, I got no bug. I couldn't get stuck out. I couldn't get out of, and I dropped the game after that. Oblivion, I had no issues with as far as bugs, getting around them, not a problem. Played 100 plus hours of it. Fallout 4, is that going to be a problem with you as far as bugs are concerned? And should we give Bethesda a pass every time that they come out released with so many bugs?
Well, I mean, I at least from my experience with the previous Fallouts, when you deal with a game on a very large scale like Fallout, I think the expectation should almost be there's going to be bugs, there's going to be technical difficulties. I mean, I'm like drawing a mind blank on what the other one was that we got a copy from Evolve. The zombie one. Damn it! I'm drawing a mind blank on that one. Anyway, so I was gonna make an example, but I think when you're dealing with anything that has an open world as vast as Fallout, the expectation when you get it and when you pop it in the system is it's going to have technical problems. It's going to have bugs. And it's not just, focus so much on hey, that's a problem with Bethesda's games. It's just when you're dealing with a vast open world, there has to be room for error. And I don't think that's going to hamper my experience with Fallout. I was stoked about it from the time that I heard about it, and I am not any less excited from some of the small technical issues and the bugs that I've heard. I think Fallout is going to be just as great as it always is. I don't think it's going to ruin my experience. Because I didn't build up an expectation that this game is going to be the epitome of perfection. It's just, I think where my problem is going to run into is if during my experience with the game that it starts to impact it on a more mechanical level in terms of hampering my progression through the storyline or affecting the game in any way to where I can't progress. I think that is at that point is where it's going to shave off some points off the top. But I think overall, I again, not to beat a dead horse, but again, the same thing as I just said a couple other times.
You just might be able to do that in Fallout 4, by the way.
I just think it's already looking to shape up to be a great game. I think. I don't know that it looks that much different to me. It just seems like obviously it's in a new kind of era and a new world and
that's one of the issues I have with it, because it doesn't look that far removed from Oblivion, which is a 10-year-old game. So I mean, the depth of the game and the space and the vastness of the game is unparalleled in my opinion. Even GTA might take some lessons as far as the vastness of the game. But when it comes down to the visuals and the facials and whatnot, unfortunately, something's obviously, in these Bethesda engines that when they create these vast worlds, something, I guess, is sacrificed. And I guess one of those is those complexities of the actual character models and sometimes building models as well. When you create those vast worlds, I guess some things have to go by the wayside. Is that, would that not be correct?
Well, I mean, looking as far as my perception on Fallout 4, looking at the game, I mean, I guess logistically, if that's even really the appropriate term to use for what I'm trying to describe, aesthetically, it looks the same in some respect to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. It's almost like an expansion. So I mean, when Fallout 4, even though it's the new iteration to the series, I think aesthetically it looks very similar. It has the same feel as the other Fallouts, and I guess what
is that a good thing? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
But I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle on it, because it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, and it's not necessarily that it's a good thing. I think it's kind of a crapshoot, because in some respect it sounds like your ability to they've kind of upped the ante a little bit with some other attributes and some other modification systems that they've kind of integrated into the game to add a more comprehensive. I think your ability to manipulate, to mod, to utilize your environment, they've made improvements in some respect, but in another respect, the environment and the aesthetics and the overall gameplay has remained consistent. So I don't know. It's kind of. It's in a way, it's kind of a bad thing, because it's almost as if they added some new features, rehashed the environment, and threw out a new game. But in another respect, they made improvements in areas that they needed to make improvements in. It's a new world, it's a new storyline, it's a new plot, it's a new experience. But in essence, it's still just an expansion to existing or pre-existing Fallout world. So I don't know. I'm kind of impartial on that. I can't really give my full opinion on it until I play the game myself. I just think Fallout is Fallout. There is a level of consistency that follows through with Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and now Fallout 4. So I don't know. I would have to offer insight on that one once I've actually played it.
Okay, and that you will, and you will be streaming many hours of it on the Game Source Twitch channel, I hope.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Okay, now that you have the correct information.
Yes.
Yes. But we won't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it is going to be a great title. It's a big seller. Obviously, we've talked about it on our previous podcast, the Halloween podcast. I know when the guys got together and had their thoughts sales-wise. I think it's going to be a very strong seller indeed. One of the top 5 games sold over this holiday period, I think, without a doubt. I know Black Friday's coming up, and with our Black Friday page that's exclusive stuff for gamers that you want to take a look at as far as the sales and leaks that have gone on. Obviously, Fallout 4 is going to be predominantly mentioned among those as far as places that are trying to promote. So, anyways, one of the other games that came out on Friday is Call of Duty 3, Black Ops 3, I should say. As far as it's concerned, came out Friday to obviously some big sales, including, Activision saying it's one of the biggest entertainment launch of this year, totaling out over $550 million worldwide. Yada yada, press release. That being said, reviews are middling. My review is coming up at the end of this week for it. It's going to be there. And one thing I will say about the game as well, it does provide a lot of value as far as it's concerned for the consumer, in that it offers a lot of different things for it to do. But it may not have that one particular nook and cranny that you might like, as far as that will grab you and hook you. That being said, with the big launch of the big release of it, although the numbers may point back to some Call of Duty releases in the past with Modern Warfare and others that might have generated the same amount, or if not more. I do know that it is, as far as sales-wise, a little bit stronger than the past couple of years. Your thoughts on where the Call of Duty series is going, and do you see the legs for this one staying on it for the rest of the year? Because that's where really Call of Duty gets its, a lot of its money gets a lot of it up front, gets a decent bit over the holidays, but really they stay in the top 5 sold month after month until the next iteration comes out. Top 10, actually. So your thoughts on Call of Duty as far as this is concerned, Black Ops 3, and whether or not you will think this iteration will still have the legs, which has been one of the keys for why Call of Duty has predominantly been the biggest seller each and every year.
I mean, you don't need me to get into that whole bit. You know how I feel on the rehashing and re-release, and I think Call of Duty, Black Ops, Modern Warfare, I think it's outrun its course in its life. I just kind of I kind of just I don't know. I don't know that. I think throughout the history of this year, as we're kind of approaching the fourth quarter, I don't know that. Are we try to gear my answer to the right thing here? Are we talking more like game of the year stuff as we're summing up, or are we just talking about just the consistency in sales or
consistency in sales for the most part? When it concerns the Call of Duty, one of the reasons why they are still number one year after year after year is because the legs that each release seems to have over the period of the entire year, because of the familiarity of Call of Duty. Now, this iteration, while it started off better than previous iterations, it has earned a Metacritic, which means I'll put it to you in terms of the movies as far as it's concerned. When they talk about cinema scores on the first weekend of movies, the Peanuts movie, which just came out. That has garnered, pretty good review and a strong cinema score of A. So most movie analysts are predicting that the movie will have legs throughout the rest of this holiday season. Whereas something maybe that started out strong, a movie might have a B, B minus, C plus cinema score, will conversely just die out strong week after week, and second, third, fourth weekend sales will be dipping like that. So let's put this in that, putting that in that context. Do you think this might be the point where Call of Duty might see a substantial drop off in its 5, 6, 10 month over year lifespan?
Well, I quite frankly, my opinion on the way that I think the Call of Duty series, it needs to just stop. Enough is enough. It's just like the Madden, the NFL, how many of those games do you need to come out? There's not really any significant changes. And I don't know in terms of consistency in sales, unless they start wheeling and dealing Black Friday deals with, which they probably will. I don't know. I mean, you would probably know better than I would as far as Black Ops is concerned, but I don't know if it's going to be in the top tier for sales. But then again, I could be mistaken on that. I just think that there may be so many other games released throughout this year, and especially with fourth quarter, with Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Solid and Fallout 4. I think they have a lot of competition, and I don't know if sales wise if they'll be up in that top tier. But again, come Black Friday and the Christmas season, if they start doing bundles and they drop the price down to like $30 or something for the game, I mean you might see some small spike in sales, but I think the other titles are going to trump it. I think to some point, I think people are just getting kind of burnt out on Call of Duty. I mean, there's just it's the same thing. They just keep rehashing the same game. New maps, they add some zombie stuff to it. It's basically the same frickin' thing they're re-releasing every year. So.
I kind of disagree with you. As far as it's concerned, the game itself is what it is, but there's such familiarity with Call of Duty. I think that personally, a lot of people still will transition towards it and will still try to make it a very popular purchase, not only for this holiday season, but continually going forward. I think where you may see it as far as the 6 month to 12 month period, you may see sales dip because of the lack of quality as far as overall that some people are seeing. And like I said, I haven't put out my review yet, so I'll have my thoughts on it hopefully by the end of this week. I actually already have it written out. Just want to be able to post it. I know we got a lot of great reviews on the site already that we've been trying to post. Jeremiah has his thoughts on Undertale, Triforce Heroes from Steph Tafu. Rob from Nintendo Quest, he just went through and shared his thoughts on Divinity Original Sin. I know Halo 5 from Josh is also up there as well. So got a lot of stuff there, but I'd love to put my thoughts in on Black Ops 3. I think I'll try to do those, sneak that in. But yeah, I think you're probably where you'll see it because of those middling scores and whatnot is on the back end. But I don't think this holiday season, I think you're still going to see it as one of the top games. And it doesn't get discounted because it's November released. For most part, November releases do not get discounted on the Black Friday deals. And that will include Battlefront. That'll include Fallout 4. We're already seeing it on leaked ad images that they are not being discounted. And traditionally, November games usually have not been discounted very much at all. So definitely think still that being the case, Call of Duty is still going to be wanted by a lot of individuals. A lot of casual players, because it reaches a casual audience that a lot of games don't. But Battlefront, I think this holiday season will be the game to beat as far as sales-wise is concerned, because I think of all the Star Wars hype that it has garnered. So that being the case, just a lot of great stuff still to talk about. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is Street Fighter V. Street Fighter. Reason why Street Fighter V comes up at this point in time of the year is just recently was announced that Street Fighter V on several of its female characters are going to tone it down a bit. And to me, this was quite interesting, because I've noticed other JRPGs and things and games from Japanese developers, when they're transitioning their games out to the Western audience, are starting to tone down due to vocal complaints or to concerns or whatnot, as far as tone down their female physiques, forms, dress, what have you. Is this a transition that you're going to see continue? Because we are, you and I, as far as what we've covered from JRPGs, it's a cultural issue and cultural choice that's made in Japan as far as how they want to treat and deal with the female form, the female images, in their games. But we hadn't seen usually remarkable changes or modifications in that for when it's been released to Western audiences. That focus seems to be changing. Do you see this transitioning even further, or do you see it as just as anomaly at this point in time?
I think it's a little too early to tell. I think with the evolution of the era that we're in, take TV as a perfect example. 5-6 years ago, the level of censorship and what taking 5 years ago and then fast forwarding to today, the level of censorship and what's allowed to be on television has drastically evolved. And I think when you apply that same physics, same set of physics rather, with the gaming industry, when you're taking the Eastern culture and you're migrating that cultural perception and just that design, and when you're bringing that to the West, I think I think gaming is a universal thing. It's not. I don't think it's relative. You have gamers here in the U.S. You have gamers all across the world who share a universal concept of, whether it be sex, whether it be graphic material, and really to censor that or to tone stuff down based on a small part of the population that's absolutely outraged by the graphic and maturity level of these half-naked women. Really, you got your frickin' 13-year-olds coming to R-rated movies with you in the movie theater, and you're griping and complaining because you can see a little extra titties or whatever in the or cleavage. And give me a frickin' break. I think that is the most asinine. I just give me it to a certain extent. Cut the bullshit. Get with the. This is just. I just think with the evolution that we've seen over the course of the last 5 to 10 years, times have changed. We're in a digital age and technology that, and I take, pornography and things of that nature that's so prominently on the web now, versus when it was not as available, years ago. But you don't see people, that many people crying in outrage about that. They're happy because it's more accessible on the web. So I don't know. I think when you're dealing with something like that, I don't know that. I think maybe it's a little bit too early to tell. I just think there's just been a lot of evolution, and there's been a lot of change in that respect. And I think If anything, I see a graphic representation and a much like darker, I'm trying to think of the word to use, a much more darker and grotesque. Take what is it? The Dawn. What the game that recently came out that's similar to the horror
Until Dawn?
Until Dawn. I mean, take that as a perfect example. I mean, they're talking about toning down the sexual suggestiveness and maturity of Street Fighter, yet you got some freaking psycho going around, brutally torturing and killing. What is there some misconception here of what something? You take that and then you apply, even though it's not necessarily on a sexual maturity necessarily in that particular example. I just don't really get. I don't really get the motivation behind that, because it's just with the rapid changes that we're seeing culturally and just in our environment, even within our own homes, what's accessible on TV and on the internet. I just don't see the. I don't know. I think it's too early to kind of tell if that's going to become a new trend, because what's unfortunate is that when there's changes that are okay when you're transitioning from one culture to another, but you don't want to get to the point where these changes are altering the whole experience of the game and are changing the components and changing the makeup of a game that we may traditionally know to be one way, and it's being altered and changed to where it's not really the same game anymore. And I know that might sound confusing, but what I mean by that is that we see Street Fighter as something we've grown up with, and just kind of, hey, that's Street Fighter, extra cleavage, triple size boobs, half naked people, but then like you take Street Fighter now and it's kind of like, what happened to Street Fighter? This isn't this is what we grew up with. This isn't the same game anymore because of the level of censorship and everything else that transformed this game into something that it's not the same game anymore. So I mean, I definitely hope that we don't see it evolve to that drastic of a change, but I think with certain things, like particularly like these circumstances, I think it's a little too early to tell if that's going to be a change we're going to see more consistently and more universally applied to other games.
I'm going to say this. Until Dawn, first off, is a loving tribute to those hack and slash movies. And that's why it is the way it is. It is a different game because of that. It is a game that works very well because of that. It is a game that basically, just plays it exactly the way those Friday the 13th slasher movies are, because that's what it essentially is. And that's why it is a very, very solid game. And it will be considered probably by us one of the games of the year because it comes so strongly recommended from our friend Doug at Retro City Games. But I will say this: anything that presents the female form in a more positive light is welcomed by me, and I know a lot of other individuals as well. The accentuating features that are unnecessary that we accepted for a long time in the Street Fighter series, I'm glad for the change, and I like to see it going forward. And I like to stop seeing these demeaning images all the time of the female form. But
Gerald, they don't necessarily have to be demeaning, though. I mean,
but they are in a lot of cases. They are. People. The female gamers are now comprising of a substantial amount, if not, at least half of the actual gaming community is now females. So why not court them in a more positive fashion that's more reflective of their community, as opposed to these distorted images that we've had for so many years that obviously have that I understand the Japanese culture, and obviously since I'm not a part of it, I cannot say how they will go ahead and treat the games in their environment. But bringing it into our environment, it should be more reflective of our culture and our society, and should be, send a better message and a more positive message to everyone who plays it, not just one segment of the population.
I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. I mean, I think if I understand what you're saying is that, instead of, like you said, like degrading them and in such a way to be more respectful and I get what you're saying. I mean, I agree.
I mean, you've got a girl. I've got two girls. Let's say they grow up and they become MLG gamers and hopefully make us millions of dollars, and so we can both have our obviously great mansions. But need I digress? But be that as it may, let's say they go hardcore into Street Fighter, images and fighting games or whatnot. Is that the image you really want them to? Is that they should feel that they have to be like, as far as that's concerned, those augmented images, those extravagant, or be something more that they can relate to. I'm going to talk about a female. I'm going to talk about a very positive female image that I hear in a second. That has been toned down a bit by Square Enix, a Japanese-owned company, or actually a foreign-owned company that has decided to go ahead and do that, and that's Rise of the Tomb Raider. Because during the PlayStation days, she was heavily augmented and almost to unrealistic proportions, and now she's obviously been developed and made with a better sense of the public in mind, and who's playing the game. But my question is on that, as we'll transition to another series as far as it's concerned, moving on to a different issue is Rise of the Tomb Raider itself, and while it does, in my opinion, send a little bit better message to female gamers and to females as far as how they should be created and made and interact within the world. And obviously, it's a great game, and I will be also providing a review on that early next week. And my time with it, as far as it's concerned, has been very positive, and it's definitely better than the first game. And thank God they threw out the multiplayer, because that was garbage. My question to you is, with the Square Enix exclusivity deal that they made with Xbox One, where it's not coming out on PC for 6 months, and it's not coming out for PS4 a year, and putting it on a day that a certain game what game came out the same day?
Fallout 4.
Yeah, doing it on the same day that a game that is more highly anticipated than your own game. Was it really a smart move to do that after by Square Enix?
I think it's going to severely hurt sales. To be honest with you, I mean, that's why our discussion earlier was I think I had asked you before the podcast. It's going to be an Xbox One exclusive, and you were telling me for the first year, but which is a disappointment, because I was actually genuinely looking forward to playing the new Tomb Raider game. It looked like it was shaping up to be a fantastic game. It's just very highly disappointing to see that I'm gonna have to wait a year to be able to play that. So I think that's very severely going to impact sales. And to release it on a game or on a day rather that you have a game that has significantly more hype on it. That was not. That is going to be ill-fated to kind of burn crash a little bit, I think.
I know, and it's just, to me, it's just very, very sad to see, because this is a game that I've gone back and forth on, and I've said over the years since the first reboot came out, it tries to be Uncharted but can't do Uncharted. Well, it actually exceeds in a lot of ways what the Uncharted series is doing right now, or has done, and it looks like it's from I'm probably going to give it a really good review, and it's not available to all audiences, especially the largest console, which in hindsight was probably the first boneheaded idea. Yeah, in a year it's going to be available, but will gamers care? You know how gamers are. that they'll pick up something 5-10 years down the line because it's nostalgic in a rebooted form. That's great. But will they, get it in mass when it becomes available? I don't think so. And they'll probably get it when it's discounted heavily and whatnot. But by then, that defeats the purpose. So I hope that check was really nice from from Microsoft as far as making it towards them. But to me, it looks like that Square Enix, how they brought it out in September, when there was the lull period after Metal Gear was out, that's different. Okay, slap it there. You would have garnered a lot of attention and gotten a lot of great, some pretty solid sales. But now that it's being trapped in this same window as Fallout 4 and Black Ops 3 and Star Wars Battlefront, which is yet to come out, which is going to be super huge as well, even bigger than maybe all of these titles. That's just going to put, as you were talking about with Call of Duty, it's going to put Rise of the Tomb Raider even lower because it's only available on one platform. And to me, that was a mistake on both Xbox and Square Enix's part, because that's just not the thing you want to do to a great series that really went out of its way to make a really, really what seemingly is a darn good game. And I'm just very, very sad that they went out of their way to put it on such a congested area of time and not let this game stand out on its own. But your final thoughts on Rise of the Tomb Raider?
Well, I just think with respect to what we were just talking about, I don't think sales are going to be really good on that. I think it was a very, very, very poor idea for them to release it at the time that they did, especially restrictive to a single platform.
And like I said, it's just a shame that they went and did that. And I think, like you said, it's just going to be the problem with it and why sales were hurt long term. But then again, that I hope that they cashed that check from Microsoft and it cleared, and that they really, it really had a lot of zeros attached to it because, they're
going to need it.
They're going to need it because that game could have really been a strong start, especially. And I will say this. I'm sure that Uncharted 4 coming out this holiday was on their minds when they originally said, yes, we'll go ahead and do the exclusivity deal. So I'm going to say that was probably on their minds, and they were very concerned with that.
Uncharted 4 will destroy Tomb Raider.
Well, yeah, on the PlayStation 4 platform, because Sony's going to be pitching it all the time. But the problem was, once Uncharted 4 got delayed, Square Enix, they should have gone back to Xbox and said, you know what, is there anything we can change, make do? Because you now have 30 million, you will have 30 million PlayStation 4s you cannot put your product on until next year. And that might be a year too late in a lot of ways. And that's a shame for them. And that's a shame for the game as well, because this is truly, truly something that, again, if people are really into the adventure and puzzle solving, obviously, and really a good third-person shooter, this is really an experience that they need to undertake. And a lot of people are going to miss it because of all those circumstances. So shame on you, Square Enix. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Yep. And the last thing I want to touch on, because we got Black Friday leaks coming out, and they're coming all over the place, but we're going to save that on our Black Friday episode coming up here in our next episode. Be our touch on Black Friday, as Nick and I will scour the tombs and stores and all the deals. And if you were looking for a great place to find just the great deals for all you gamers, our Black Friday page will have those up over the next few days as well. So look forward to that. We already have a few up from Dell, from Meijer here in the Midwest. If you're like that chain of department stores, they've got some great deals. The Dell.com has an amazing deal on an Xbox One package. And also some Toys R Us Big Book ads are in there as well. But I wanted to give you one last question before we head on out. And is this the best time to be a gamer?
I think so. I think with I think this year's been a really strong really strong year. I think we had a lot of really good, maybe not a lot. I think there were a number of very solid releases. I think there were some great games this year that came out. Next year definitely has potential, and I think this is a good time to be a gamer.
For me, I could just say this: it's been a great year as well for gaming. It's not been 2007 because I think that was clearly by far and away the best ever year for gaming. And if you have a different opinion, GameSource on Facebook, at GameSource on Twitter, send us a shout out, or just send us an email, info@yourgamesource.com. But I think 2007 was the best year for gaming, but this was a very strong year overall. But this time of year right now is just like a candy land where you get to pick and choose all this good stuff as far as it's concerned for gaming, whether it's a current game like Star Wars Battlefront or Fallout 4, or if you want a game that's going to be on a discounted price, just wait till Black Friday when a lot of great games that came out this year are going to be at a heavily discounted price. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. We are as well. We'll keep you in the loop, not only on our GameSource Facebook page, but at GameSource on Twitter with all the latest and great deals. And then, of course, like you said, if you just want one place to concentrate and focus on, yourgamesource.com/blackfriday.html. Or if you just go to our front page on yourgamesource.com, you'll see the Black Friday. Just hit it. Boom, you're right there. It's going to show all the ads right there for you. As far as all the great deals that we're going to be posting up, because there's a lot leaking every single day. Best Buy just got leaked. GameStop just got leaked. All these great deals are going up. Target just got leaked. So all these great things are going to go up on our site as far as gaming-centric focus is concerned. We won't have all the ads for all the big TVs for whatever price or whatnot. We're just going to have the gaming focused deals that we think you need to focus on for this holiday season. So any last comments, my friend? Because I know you wanted to get me off the air now for over an hour because you've been wanting to play Fallout 4.
No, I think I'm excited to play it, and I will offer my thoughts on the next podcast.
That's awesome to hear. It's good to have you back on the podcast. The original two of us, 133 podcasts ago. Seems like it doesn't seem like yesterday because I've been stuck with you for all these years. But be that as it may, it's a pleasure to have you on again, as always, my friend. Hopefully next time you can host and I can provide the scintillating commentary. But this is Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives, along with Angry Nick. Again, we're GameSource on Facebook. We're at GameSource on Twitter, where we provide hundreds of stories each week from around the gaming world, including our own 2 cents with our own videos, reviews, opinions, and other good stuff each and every week. Right from all the people who so graciously volunteer their time to give us a hand to provide their thoughts on the gaming world. If you would like to as well, we're always looking for volunteer writers, volunteer video people, that whole 9 yard stuff as far as is concerned. Just head over to info@yourgamesource.com, send us a line through there, and we would love to help you live out your dream as far as writing about the gaming world. We are go after a lot of gaming codes as well. So if you're interested in getting free games, especially if you're into the indie games, we get a lot of indie games that come our way that we have to turn down because we're just pretty swamped here at GameSource and yourgamesource.com. So info@yourgamesource.com if for any more information on that, if you are interested as well. So we appreciate you joining us on the podcast, whether you were watching via Twitch. And once again, a shout out to Viking Prince. We appreciate his feedback. Thanks to his help and allowing us to get OBS fixed. So we were able to go ahead and multi-stream our feed off of Google Hangouts. Appreciate those that were watching on Google Hangouts, watching on Twitch, and that are watching it on YouTube, and also being able to listen to it on the MP3 format. So for Angry Nick,
See you later.
And this is Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives. We thank you for watching. We thank you for listening. And have yourself a great day.
Do you love games, breed games, and bleed games? Then this is the crew for you. If you are interested in editorial, podcasting, live events, and exclusive content, make sure to hit us up at info@yourgamesource.com and become part of a team that is dedicated to delivering all the greatest and latest in gaming news and content, all here at yourgamesource.com.